Hi there, it's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian, and welcome. I'm logging on today because I had a question from one of my clients and members of my Psychic Reading with Cynthia, Psychic Readings with Cynthia Facebook group, and her question is relating to the current COVID-19 crisis, and bless her heart, she said to me in the group, she said, I am worried day and night about my family or me getting this virus. Cynthia, I just keep worrying about it. What can I do about that worry and fear? How can I break free from that? How can I get over that? And I just thought that was a really powerful, really good question. And I do believe there are many others who are sort of caught in that same trap. They're carrying that weight. They're worried. They're worried specifically about their families getting, this virus or themselves. And so I wanted to address that from the spiritual psychic perspective. And listen, this is not a medical related video. I mean, if you want medical advice, you should watch some medical videos, okay, or talk to your doctor. But, just from the spiritual aspect, I mean, the spiritual aspect of breaking free from fear. And, well, let's talk about that first of all. I mean, when you're just stuck in a cycle, it could be anything, by the way. It could be something else, too, that you're worried about happening. But, here it happens to be the COVID-19 virus. She's worried about her family or her getting that. When you're stuck in that cycle and you just keep worrying and worrying, it really doesn't help, okay? It really doesn't do anything constructive, and it doesn't protect you, is what I'm saying. In other words, on no level. I mean, certainly not the spiritual psychic level, not the psychological level, the emotional level. It does nothing to help you, and I think that's important to recognize that. Maybe just logically, because that could be the beginning of breaking that cycle, recognizing that worrying is actually counterproductive. But of course, you can take steps to protect yourself. And I know you've all, hopefully by now, heard, the recommendations. And some of them are controversial, like to wear a mask or not wear a mask. And I'll let you do your own research on that. I think, let me just say this, I would research that, okay? Because, yeah, anyway. But this video is not about those things because, again, hopefully you've heard about those or you can find that information somewhere else. But let's talk about spiritually and psychically, how do we protect ourselves from this on that level? Because a virus is an energy, okay? Just like any other energy. And, you can work with this situation on an energetic psychic level. Now, you can also do all your, physical things and, social distancing and all that. But I'm talking about on the energetic level. So one of the first things I would think that would be helpful is to realize that the virus is an energy. And you might even ask yourself, just really ask yourself, do you actually believe that it's your karma to get this virus? I mean, do you believe that? I mean, I'm assuming that you're watching this video because you're spiritual, and different people have different beliefs, but many spiritual people do believe in some idea of karma or orlog or destiny. I mean, what I'm saying is, do you really believe this is part of your path to have this virus? I mean, I think that's important to consider. I know I don't really feel, that it's part of my path. If it is part of my path, I will get the virus. And there's nothing I can do to stop it. That doesn't mean I shouldn't try to take steps, but maybe just realizing that we all have a certain life path, we all have a karma. And, I would venture to say that for many of us, it is not going to be part of our karma to get this virus. And I would even say, okay, what if it is part of my karma or your karma to get it? That doesn't necessarily mean it's your karma to die from it. So that's just something, maybe thinking about that might help calm you down and de-escalate the fear so that you can then take some sensible steps to protect yourself. And some people, it is their karma. Um, you know, I don't pretend to understand all of how death works, but I do get little limited glimpses, especially when you communicate with the dead. That helps. I mean, my understanding is that when we're done here on this earth plane, when we've, not just done as much as we can, but when we've learned and we have grown as much as we can in this dimension, this physical world dimension, we go on. We go on to the next level of existence, whatever that is, whatever you want to call it. In other words, we can't do all our learning and growing here. We can only do part of it. And then we go on. So, when it's our time to go, we go through something, and so these diseases and different things, they play a part in that. Okay, spiritually, I'm looking at it from the spiritual perspective. I'm not looking at it from the medical, okay? Again, I think we can open our minds to see these things from a larger level, from a cosmic level, if we want to. We don't have to, but it would be useful, especially if you're on the spiritual path. So, you might ask yourself, do you feel like your lessons here are done? Do you feel like you've grown as much as you can? Do you think that's really true? It is for some people. For some people, it is their time to go on because they've completed their work here as much as they can. For those of us who that is not true for, again, we're probably not going to be dying right away, even from other things, not just the virus, okay? And yet the flip side of this is we will all die, okay? We will all, that thing called death is a transition. It's merely a transition. My guides recently told me that this whole thing with all these people dying, it's a great transformation. And I don't mean just society. I mean the actual people who are dying, and God bless their hearts and their families. My heart goes out to them, especially their families, because you're mourning and grieving your loved ones, and bless you. Understand, though, that the people who are dying now, not just from Covid-19, by the way, there's many other people passing from other things too. All the people dying right now, and they will die tomorrow and the next day, but especially the increase. This is an increase in the amount of souls who are transforming. They are leaving the planet because they are done with their lessons here. At least that's how I see it, okay? This is what I've gotten from my guides. They are moving. They're traveling. I did ask the runes a little bit about this, and maybe you caught my earlier videos where I did a whole big rune reading. Well, actually, it was only 4 runes, but it was very in-depth. So I did a very in-depth rune reading about the COVID-19 crisis and what this means for us as a society and a world. But I asked the runes about this question and just get more information. What does it mean with these souls dying? Should we all be afraid? And I just pulled one rune. I got one rune. Here it is, if you want to know what that is. See if we can get that up there. So that's Ewas. It's actually the Nordic letter E, which I know it looks like an M, but just think like this. Like if I turned it on the side, it kind of would look like an E. All right, but we're not writing in it right now. We're just doing a reading with it a little bit. So that's the horse rune, and that is a rune of traveling, especially shamanic. The horse is something that could be a metaphor for what you ride, spiritually speaking, to travel to the other side. So yes, there are many people, from what I hear, there are many people dying from this virus. Now that's also controversial because some people say that, they may actually be dying from other things and happen to have the virus. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I just know there's an increase in the amount of people dying, it seems. And I might be wrong. Okay, I know somebody out there is going to say, oh, it isn't right. Well, it just seems that way, okay? And the fact that our attention is drawn to that, it means that we're getting a lesson as a society about death, And by the way, the lesson isn't just to run from death or be afraid of death. I think that is the most messed up part of all this, is that, I mean, we don't have to run right into death. Okay, you don't need to be, one of my teachings, okay, as a psychic is don't be a dumbass. Okay, so, I mean, just in case, I mean, don't go like lick a guardrail where somebody's been who's sick, okay? You get what I'm saying? So be wise. Don't be a dumbass. You don't have to rush towards your death. But at the same time, we are being, led to face death so that we can lose our fear of it, so that we can gain a greater understanding of the other side and quit being so afraid of death. Death is natural. Death is part of the process. We don't need to hurry it along. Okay, I'm not saying that, but we can open to it. We can open to its mysteries. So anyway, it's a great transformation. There are many souls transforming at once. They are transforming and moving on to the other side, and that part of it is beautiful. When our loved ones who have been suffering are freed from those bodily shells and they go on, I mean, that is a freeing, a lightening of the load. So these are some things to think of. I mean, even if you did get the virus, even if somebody you love did and they did die, or you did die, the way I'm seeing it here, what I'm getting from the guides is that this is a shamanic journey you're making to the other side, so that you can then go there and begin your journey of learning on the other side. So I hope this can bring you some comfort thinking about it this way, because, I mean, I truly believe, now you don't have to, but it's my video, and I have to share what the guides, are saying to me and what I feel. I truly believe, when it's our time, we will go. So we can't really fight that. Now, in terms of, just staying strong and, not being unwise, and, of course you can make your aura stronger, and there are things you can do. Stepping out of fear is important, and stepping into trust, but looking just for a few little things, and maybe I'll go ahead and make a separate video about this another time, but, you can work in sound vibration, so you can chant Om. I know that sounds so simple, but it can be very powerful. Om. Om. Aum. That's another way to say it. So the chanting of Om is known throughout many spiritual circles to help elevate the strength of the aura and the cells. So that's one simple thing that I would start with, to add on to your other practices. And of course, I mean, I should say, just in case you haven't thought of it, I mean, I think it goes without saying that strengthening your immune system and taking care of that, I mean, that's up to you. The doctors can't do that for you, okay? So, think about what you're eating, think about how you're exercising, and don't do it in a judgmental way or like a harsh way. But, if you could do a little better in that, I mean, just something small, that would help, right? If you don't eat fruits and vegetables, maybe start eating some, okay? Get those immune-boosting phytochemicals and antioxidants and all that stuff. Get that, coming into your body naturally. But I'm looking at it right now from the spiritual, the energetic level, and the chanting of Om is very good for raising the vibrations and clearing out any energy that is not needed. And if there was a virus in the body that was not needed, Om could help clear that out. So that would be a good place to start. And fresh air and sunlight. Now, there are medical studies that talk about the benefits of these things, on the physiological level. But I'm speaking now of the spiritual level, because the fresh air and the sunlight, what it does is it feeds our etheric body, our spiritual bodies, and our chakras. It keeps those more healthy and balanced. And when those are stronger and more vibrant, then, you're less likely to become weakened physically, which of course would mean you were less likely to die from a virus or anything else. I mean, keeping in mind, when it's really your time to go, you're going to go. But, you know, I mean, I do think sometimes we can do things to hasten that along, or we can do things to maybe kind of buy ourselves a little bit more time, maybe. You know, I think there's a window of time when we're supposed to go, in other words. So at least that's what I think today, based on the information I've received in readings to this point. Maybe in 5 years I'll think differently, but it seems to me that it's not, you know, just always in one exact date. Like sometimes we're given a little bit of a window, you know, or maybe it's like this. Maybe if we make the effort to take really good care of ourselves, then maybe it's like we're showing the universe that we want to still be here, so we get more time. That's how I think it works. So anyway, yeah, you know, you can work with the fresh air and the sunlight and the chanting of Om. Notice that these things I'm suggesting don't cost any money, okay? It's totally free. You know, you don't have to buy somebody's book or somebody's video course. I mean, you can do those things if you want to, but in terms of keeping yourself radiant and healthy and lovely and all of that, you know, raise your light with the chanting of Om and fresh air and sunlight. Start with that. Other things that I do, I mean, I move every day. I exercise every day. I do yoga. I love yoga. I know not all you love yoga. Man, you should try some yoga, though, if you're open to it, because yoga is really designed, I mean, I'm talking about the Hatha yoga, too. I realize for all of you yoginas out there, and shout out to you, I realize there are many branches to yoga besides Hatha yoga, but, you know, there's something about balancing those left and right sides of the body and, you know, stretching, and, you know, even on a physical level, you know, I guess this isn't really yoga. I will say this. I practice yoga, and for many, many years I just did yoga. And then I started studying sacred dance and ballet. So now what I do personally is more of a combination of all these different things. So I'm not rigid about it. I think that if you have a form of movement that you enjoy, even just dancing, your own form of dancing, that can really move the energies in the body and expand the aura. And of course, the more you do that, I mean, that's just going to make you healthier on all levels. So those are things that I would think about doing if I were you. And, you know, if you want to help strengthen yourself and, you know, I mean, I can't say that it will totally keep you from getting the virus, you know, but I think it would make it less likely. You know, it will make your energy stronger. And, you know, and if you did get the virus, maybe spiritually speaking, your chances of survival would be higher if your aura is stronger, right? Just some things to think about. You know, taking responsibility. I mean, because the doctors can't save us. I mean, they try, they do their best, okay? But we don't even know what the hell this is medically, okay? You know, and they're trying to do a vaccine and all this. I mean, I wouldn't be holding my breath for a vaccine if I were you. I'm just saying. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I'm so glad that I have health practices, you know. And maybe I hope that part of the awakening here for people will be that, hey, we are responsible for our own health, you know, on all levels. So, but here today I'm really talking more about the spiritual, and the exercise is actually part of that, because when we exercise, we move the energies. So whatever you like to do. And actually walking in the fresh air is such a beautiful, spiritually uplifting exercise. So if you can just do that, then just do that. Alrighty now, well, I've shared some thoughts with you on this. I hope that it's helped you maybe to get a little bit more centered in yourself. And listen, just don't freak out so much. I mean, especially if you got the virus, okay? I mean, freak out if you need to a little, but I mean, if I had the virus, and I don't, you know, to my knowledge, but if I got sick with anything, I mean, I would set about taking care of myself in the best way I could and nurturing myself with nurturing teas and herbs. These are things that I would do for me. I'm not saying you would do it that same way, but, you know, I would calm myself down, because that's going to help your energies. And, you know, healing happens in the calm. It happens in the nurturing and the love. So, you know, listen, if you're freaking out real bad, why don't you just quit freaking out and go do something to nurture or love yourself or another? You know, that's what I say. That's what I would do. So I know it's not always easy, but make it a discipline, okay? Make it a discipline. All right, well, I'm Psychic Cynthia with my guides and teachers and the runes, and I hope this has helped to uplift you all, and I'm sending you all the love of the world and of spirit itself. And remember your ancestors too. By the way, that's part of, you know, helping to keep ourselves safe, is tuning into the ancestral and the guide energy. So until next time, bright blessings.